Yeah. All right, good afternoon. This is the Township of Selwyn Committee of Adjustment for Tuesday, April the 22nd, 2025. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of the committee, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none. We will go to our first report pair for A0525.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee of Adjustment is holding a public hearing today in accordance with Section 45 of the Planning Act in order to consider one application for relief from bylaw number 2009-021, being the comprehensive zoning bylaw for the Township of Selwyn. The prescribed notice of public hearing was provided via prepaid first-class mail to all residents within a 60-meter radius of the property, subject to the application, as well as by a sign posted on the subject plans. The notice was also available on the Township's website. The notice circulation complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. If a person or public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn, but does not make oral submissions at a public hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment before the committee gives or refuses to give approval to the application, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not otherwise make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn in respect of the proposed variance before the committee gives or refuses to give approval to the application, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless the opinion of the tribunal there are reasonable grounds to do so. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, you must make written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment, providing your name and address or email address. This is again, as the chair has stated, it's A05-25. This is for 1772 Gordon Fitzgerald Lane. The project is to replace and expand an existing boathouse by 9.2 square meters for a total of 35.7 square meters, 384 square feet for the new boathouse. The relief being requested is to reduce the interior side yard setback for a boathouse from 5 meters to 2.69 meters. I do find that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. I do recommend the application for approval. We do have comments of no concern from the County Public Works and comments in support of the application from the Otonabee Region Conservation Authority, stating that ORCA permits will be required at building permit stage.
Okay, thank you very much. And Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anyone who's registered for or against this application?
No one registered to speak to this one.
All right, thank you. I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I would look for a motion to approve the application. Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Koulis, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you very much. There are no deferred matters of correspondence. We have before us the March 25th, 2025 minutes. Can I have someone move them? Deputy Mayor Black, seconded by Councillor Boyko, all in favor. It's carried, and a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is May 27th. Councillor Henry moving, Deputy Mayor Black seconding, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. We were so quick. We have to wait a couple of minutes to start the council meeting. Okay. Good afternoon, it's Township of Selwyn, regular council meeting for Tuesday, April 25th, 2025 will come to order. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Please observe a moment of silence so that council staff and members of the public can quietly reflect on our duty to the community that we are trying to serve. Thank you. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of council, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. I would ask that all comments, questions, and answers be directed through me as the chair. This includes public, staff, and council members. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we will go first to the minutes of April the 8th, 2025. Is there any errors or omissions? If not, can I have someone move them? Deputy Mayor Black is moving, Councillor Koulis is seconding, all in favor. That's carried, thank you. Any discussion out of the minutes? Seeing none, we will move on to our first deputation, and it's a staff introduction. Lane.
Thank you, Mayor Senes. I'll turn it over to Jonathan here in a bit, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank council for their support of our updated IT structure that we have in financial services. With council's direction to expand our online offerings to ratepayers, we've implemented virtual town hall, eSend, and cloud permit, just to name a few. And while they are customer friendly and makes it easier for customers to get information and provide information, it does take a lot of effort and significant back-end support. So with technology growing and expectations of the public growing, I just wanted to thank council for recognizing that and supporting our efforts. With Dustin's hiring, we now have 2 dedicated IT employees to support our staff and our technology and our ratepayer offerings. But I'll turn it over to Jonathan and Dustin. And
through you, Mayor. Thank you, Lane. It's my pleasure to introduce Dustin Taylor. He's our new IT support specialist with the township. This is Dustin's 3rd week, and things have been going really well. Just a few things about Dustin. So Dustin grew up in the area. He's coming to us from Curve Lake First Nation, where he was a level 2 technician for them. Dustin has an advanced diploma in programming and analysis from Fanshawe College, as well as a Bachelor of Science in computing from Trent University. Over the past couple of weeks, I've noticed that Dustin has a really calm and confident approach to his work, and we're excited to see his contributions to Selwyn and the IT department. Welcome, Dustin, and we're very happy to have you.
Thanks, John, and thank you everyone for having me. Yeah, like John said, it's my 3rd week here, and I'm starting to settle in, get familiar with Selwyn's technology and processes, and I'm looking forward to helping as we grow and expand the IT department. So, thanks for having me.
Well, welcome on behalf of all council, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, were there any questions that have been presented?
No questions.
Okay, we will now move on to pair with our official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Bishop. This is returning the Race Creek Lakefield South subdivision official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment back to council for consideration and decision. This is a follow-up report to my report of March the 4th. Generally speaking, as per my planning analysis from that date, I find that the development proposal conforms with the official plan and is consistent with the provincial planning statement. I recommend approval of the related applications, Planning Act applications, recommending that the township support the official plan amendment subdivision application. Of note, there is draft plan conditions with the approval for subdivision and some modifications recommended to our support of the official plan amendment, just to recognize the appropriate designation for the open space areas, the parks, as well as appropriate designation for the stormwater management areas. There's also a slight modification we've noticed with regard to the environmental protection area around Rays Creek. We're converting it from a general EP to a site-specific EP. There's a bit of an issue with our definition of conservation use as permitted by the EP zone, such that it is only authorized to public agencies. And that may not be the case that we want to support that. We'd like, it could be any, like a non-government organization, for example, that we wanted to make sure that that would comply with our zoning. So the definition of site-specific conservation use definition within the site-specific EP permits that. So those are the major changes since my last report. Otherwise, I have no further comments unless there's some questions to answer.
All right, so are there any questions? Don't see any, so we have a recommendation before us. It's a big, long one. I'm not gonna read it. But it basically is sending it to the county that showing we support the draft plan approval of the subdivision application and that our zoning bylaws be put into place as per Pear's report. So I need someone to move that, please. Moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black. Should we have a, what do you call it? Yeah, recorded vote on that. This is the big thing. Okay. All right. Where's she gotta go? Oh. Oh, right. Don't have same people go first. Yes.
This would be the day I didn't bring my laptop down. I'm sorry. Mayor Sennis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Black,
Yes.
Councillor Boyko,
Yes.
Councillor Koulis. Yes. Councillor Henry.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Right. Just after the IT guys left, my computer went funny. Go figure. All right, so we now have our 2025 first quarter reports, and Janice. Got the floors.
Thank you. Yes, so what you have before you is our first quarter reports. So based on the work plans that were approved in December of 2024, certainly we have had some occurrences happen that have put us behind with a number of things. The ice storm impacted us and as well as the whole surrounding area with a lot of damage throughout the township and of course widespread power outages. So that's demanded a significant number of resources to try and respond to that and now undertake the cleanup. I think it will have an ongoing impact on our operations for some time as we're working through that cleanup. Specifically, road sweeping will be delayed. I think we need to review some of our other capital projects and just we may not be able to get through everything that we intended to get through this year and some other work plan projects as well. So I think right now we're still working through where we're at. I think we'll have a better sense of the things that maybe we need to delay more or just put off completely when we bring our second quarter report to you. I would just like again to take the opportunity to acknowledge staff from all the departments. I think, again, significant efforts have gone in to respond from initial response to cleanup. And all staff have been involved in every department to try and work through this. So just a great response to people or by people and just expressing appreciation again for all that work.
All right, thank you very much. So we will, and I'd like to echo what Janice said. I know all of council really appreciates everything staff have done, gone above and beyond for this, getting through this debacle that we had. Hopefully we don't get another one for a good long time. I'm gonna go through each department one at a time and let me know if you want to pull anything. So the first one's for the Chief Administrative Officer. Is there anything that anybody wants pulled on that? Building and planning. Yep. Oh,
Sorry, through you, Mayor, short-term rentals.
all right.
So just again through you, Mayor, to staff, the number of complaints in 2024 is significantly higher than 2023, mostly focused on Innismore. And I was reading that 2 properties are responsible for 17 of the complaints in the notes. What, as far as bylaw enforcement, it 17 out of 20 are from that area, it looks like, or those 2 properties. What bylaw enforcement's been happening there? Seems to be
Robert.
isolated in a couple of.
Yes, through you, Mayor Sennis. The 2 properties in question are a combination of noise, general public nuisance, animals at large. We have 3 local residents in those areas, one in particular that is responsible for a large volume of complaints against his neighbor. And we have had some success with utilizing our special inspection fees and some enforcement on that particular property. But the owners currently rent it out to large volumes and on a pretty steady, regular basis. The other site in Innismore that is responsible for a large number of complaints has a couple of neighbors within a few houses that complain about it, and their complaints have generally been around noise and concerns with the sewage system. So we do have an active investigation on the sewage system that is actively in progress. We haven't been able to make much progress, obviously, with snow cover. It's very hard to determine if you've got a sewage system that's malfunctioning, and I'm not sure that it's getting the typical extreme volume of renters through it right now. So hopefully within the next short while, we'll be able to make some progress on that particular one for that issue. As far as the noise complaints go, if the neighbors complain to the authorities and the authorities have an occurrence report and we can get confirmation from the police servicing that area that there is indeed a confirmation of a noise violation, then we proceed with utilizing our enforcement protocol. The one particular group of neighbors or neighbor that often complains refuses to involve the OPP. So a lot of those complaints, although the large volume of complaints is generated, we're unable, unfortunately, to do anything about it because it's predominantly happening on weekend evenings. Then we have limited or no enforcement available to us at those times.
Right. Okay, thank you. Follow. So, I mean, I think the township's done quite well on STRs other than a couple of areas. So I just want to make sure that, again, the bylaws are being enforced, fines are being enforced, those sorts of things, because it's troublesome when it's just a couple of properties that are causing problems that make it look worse than it really is. So just ensuring that enforcement's happening. Thanks.
So are you saying, Robert, that the system we have in place is working?
through your worship. There's aspects of it that are working well.
Okay, yeah. All right, so is there anything we can do to better it is the question.
That is an interesting proposition. We did have a working group prior to me coming on board that looked at
Right.
the issues and but we've followed the direction that council's provided us based on the outcome of those earlier conversations, and guess I would suggest that if council would like us to look into those issues again, that they provide us direction to.
Janice?
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I think we've had success with our enforcement protocol. We've certainly had a number of operations improve the way they've operated. We've had some change to long-term rentals. I think the fact that really you're seeing the majority of complaints from just a couple of properties, there's those problem properties, but as we work our way through the specific complaints, I'm not sure what the issue is with somebody not wanting to use the OPP for a noise complaint, but that's something that we can talk about, and maybe another mechanism to get some support for that. So I think there are mechanisms that we can use to try and address these issues, and we really are not seeing a lot of properties with complaints. So I do think that the system is working relatively well.
Okay, perhaps we have to just see what this but this season brings us, and hopefully we don't get a big upsurge, and it continues on so that we're managing. Yeah. All right. Were there any other questions for building and planning? Seeing none, we'll move on to corporate and community services / the clerk's department. Anything for Angie? No. Financial services. You guys are getting let off easy today. The fire department. Any questions? Councilor Boyd.
Just one. Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sennis, to the chief. I'm looking at the page that says the calls to date is 358 and 2024 is 357. I expected 2025 to be higher because of all of the mountain of calls that came with the ice storm. So the fact that it is not significantly higher, is that because the number of calls has gone down because of the other changes that were made with the protocols? Is that why this number is not higher than I expected it to be?
Through Mayor Sennis, yeah, some good news.
Excellent.
So just to give you a comparison, so last year, 2024 at first quarter, so we were even fires at 12 each. MVAs up a little bit this year, 14 to 20 or 24 to, or actually down 14.
Yeah.
Weather related, people are smartening up. 2024, we had 238 medical calls, 166. So MPDS is working. This weekend, for example, I don't think we had more than 4 medical calls, which is phenomenal. False alarms were up. We're down to CO alarms, definitely up. We're up 14 from the year prior. And that's mostly because as the power went on, a lot of systems were going through failure. And we did have a lot of large CO calls that people with the generators. The big one, as you know, was the other, we're up 71 for last year, and that's because of the storm.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of those were, your typical calls, electrical calls, power lines and stuff. So, but the MPDS, like phenomenal. It is working.
That's
So,
great news. Thank you.
yeah, we've had the odd glitch or two, and it seems to be working itself through. CAC is the one that doing the biggest part of the training, and it's their change of protocol, it's huge, so. Yeah, we're really seeing something different, so. I like it. I really like it.
That's good. Thank you. All right, any other questions for fire? No. Move on to human resources. Any questions? Library services. I think we have Sarah on the line. No questions, Sarah. We have Parks and Rec. Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you, through Mayor. I'm not sure if it's Parks and Rec, but I was at a meeting last week of the Peter Robinson group in Youngs Point that's having a day August 3rd, quite a day actually. And they're asking about the sign, the new Youngs Point sign that is in the budget. And will it be installed prior to August 3rd so we can celebrate our new sign? And I understand it's going to say it's going to have the 1825 date on the sign as well, from what I hear.
Yeah, we're working our way with the MTO to get that permit in place, and that's our hope that it would be installed by that timeline, but it's been a challenge getting that permit and we still don't have it.
It's all based on the MTO
Yes.
permit.
Yes.
Can we install and beg for forgiveness or?
Now that you've said it.
Now that I've said it?
No.
La, 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 la.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions for Parks and Rec? Hmm? Public Works? Nope. And we have the 2024 Township of Selwyn report card that was given to us, which is really nice graphically and gives a good indication of different things that happen through the different departments. I've got Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you, through Mayor. No, I just wanted to also comment how fantastic it is. Really, it's such an easy read. The information's there. This is really, really good. So this is on the website. Within the website, when we have something new, does it flash up on the website first? I know when there's information about the storm, there's kind of a header. Something like this, I think would be one of those items that we'd want people to see. See, a lot of work's gone into it, a lot of good numbers in it.
Yeah, so I think what you're referring to is that pop-up.
Yeah, the pop-up
Yeah,
when you first go in.
yeah, we could do that for the report card if you wish.
Yeah, I think that's it's such a lot of good work and a lot of good numbers here. Says a good story about all the work the township is doing, staff in particular. Thank you.
All right, so we,
Sorry, if.
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sir Boyko, sorry.
No worries, through you, yeah, I just wanted to, again, echo, when I see these at an ORCA meeting or at a police board meeting that are laid out in such a graphic way, it is really helpful, rather than reading through great gobs of a report, to see these stats pop up. And I was going to say what Deputy Mayor Black said, but another place that I hope that we see all of this information in this form is in the communicator that is coming up, because these are the kind of things that I think that the people of Selwyn would really like to see. Here's the money that is coming in. Here's the things that we're doing, and it really would, I believe, if put in not only the landing page of the website that pops up, but also in the communicator. This is what your taxpayers, your taxes are paying for. I'd really like to see it in that form as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have the recommendation that the work plans for the first quarter be received for information. Can I have someone move that? Councillor Boyko and Deputy Mayor Black, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, so we are now moving on to the budget amendment report. Lane.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council would see this report around this time of year. So the budget amendment number 1 just basically updates the budget for the actual accumulated revenue figures that are coming forward as a result of the audit. Our audit still has some outstanding numbers, but these are solid. And also it takes into account the UMF grant, which comes in and offsets arena deficits and the recreation services deficit. And then amendment number 2, that's just reflective of provincial grants or changes to the capital program that council has already saw since the budget was approved. But this brings it all together in one formal document.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Elaine? If not, can I have someone move the recommendation? Councillor Koulis is moving it, seconded by Councillor Henry. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. And we will now move on to the first quarter financial report.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. The cover report just outlines some of the things that I think council's eyes would be drawn to, just to show that we have brought in accumulated revenue. We have not yet billed our final tax billing, so that isn't in the statements yet. In some of the departments more than others, the services hired or overhead looks really high for the end of the first quarter. But that's because for most instances, the insurance premiums are in there for the whole year, or memberships or subscriptions for the whole year, things like that. So we have taken a detailed look at that by department, and if there's a large percentage, it's primarily because of that, for those reasons. Want to draw council's attention to solar generation. That doesn't have a tax impact, but definitely the snow cover this year is going to have a negative impact on our overall generation. It basically would impact how much we set aside for our sustainability reserve, and then we can draw out of that reserve for other green initiatives that council may have. In a related matter, but in winter activities, so that's winter control and Adams department. We currently have a budget overage of almost $70,000 for snow plowing and removal. So that's definitely reflective of the heavy winter that we had in snow events. We typically would see more sanding and salting in the fall, and then snow removal in that spring, pre-spring winter time. And so it's just reflective of that heavy snow that we've had. We have given direction to our contractor to fill some of the domes and make use of the current contract that's in place, hopefully save some money there. But it's likely that we're going to have a deficit in winter control, which is Department 21. And just to provide council with some level of comfort, we do have winter control contingency reserve of a little over 150,000. So we're hoping that will offset that. Arena operations ice out came just as the ice storm was coming through. So the staff worked there kind of on double duty a bit, just to make sure that ice got out, and then they got out into the parks. So that's a high level overview.
All right. Are there any questions of Lane? Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Yeah, just going to the actual statements. Thanks for the summary page. That's great. And you know, the challenge with it, of course, is the revenue from taxation's not been moved into most of the revenue areas for each department. So it's a challenge to see whether we're on budget or not at this point. I trust staff is on top of that, and we are on budget. But just from a tax collection point of view, have there been any challenges in the first quarter collecting taxes, or do you feel we're in line with previous years, and that we're not going to have a lot of delinquency, that sort of thing?
Yes, to you, Madam Mayor. I would say that given the new staffing setup that we have in the department, we're starting to spend a little bit more time on tax collection. We obviously had a bit more of a relaxed period when the pandemic was going on, trying to be representative of what's going on in the community. We did ramp that up again in the fall, and we're coming up on some deadlines now where folks are supposed to be reaching out with their payment plans, or we have to take further steps. So we're starting to get some feedback on that. I'd like to think by the second quarter, I'd have a little bit more feedback. We'll probably carry on with some of our, we would say the tax sale process, but it doesn't necessarily mean tax sales. You've got to get right to the nth hour before we can get some payment plans in place and things like that. So I don't know if the we call arrears. I don't know if that's necessarily worsened in the last 3 to 4 months, but it's definitely at a point where we have to start addressing it for sure.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions of Lane? Then I'd like someone to please move the report. Receive it, Deputy Mayor Black, seconded by Councillor Coolus, all in favor. Thank you. And we will now go on to Janice LaValle talking about the Lakeville Campground Agreement. Janice.
Thank you, Mayor Senes. As council is aware, we have been given notice of termination by Orca for the Lakeville Campground Operating Agreement. And council did give us direction to come back to you with a number of options for your consideration on how we move forward. So that's the intention of this report. So I'm sure everybody's had a chance to read it. I will just review each option briefly. So option number one, the notice provided by Orca really isn't in accordance with the provisions of the agreement related to termination. So as suggested or mentioned at the last meeting, the township could advise Orca that it expects proper notice to be given in accordance with the agreement. Effectively, that would mean the termination date would have to extend to October 31st, 2026. So although this is an option, I think it's realistically pretty untenable because Orca has advised of its intention to terminate. It doesn't feel that the operation is in its best interests. And if you don't have a very engaged partner, it doesn't bode well for the success of the operation. Also, as mentioned at our March 11th meeting, this is option number two. The township could request that Orca reconsider and suggest that the agreement be renegotiated. I think when the agreement was negotiated, it was done so in accordance with the direction, very specific direction given by the council of the day to ensure that the annual compensation the township would receive would at a minimum cover the township's direct costs related to the campground operation, provide for the ongoing contributions to other departmental operational costs and reserve contributions, and of course, to fund the cost of the required infrastructure upgrades and other capital investments. Renegotiating those cost sharing provisions at this point would definitely move the township away from those principles. As council is aware, we've made a significant capital investment in the campground infrastructure to benefit both parties of the existing agreement. And the need for those upgrades was well understood and considered in developing the cost sharing provisions for the agreement. You know, as with any transition, there's been some challenges in the first couple of seasons. I think we had been meeting with Orca quite frequently just to discuss campground operations, ways we could work together, how things were going, to really maximize the success of the operation and ultimately benefit both parties. And while I think there were a number of things identified through those conversations, which I've noted in the report, Orca, regardless of that, doesn't feel that it's in their best interest to carry on with the agreement at this point in time and have, provided, provided their notice of termination. From the township's perspective, I think it's in our best interest to make sure we have an operator that's fully engaged in the operation and is committed to whatever efforts are required to maximize the success of the operation, and of course to adhere to the revenue requirements that we've identified we need. Option number three, the township could consider issuing a request for proposal for the campground operation to a private operator. Given the discussion we've had around our need for compensation levels to meet all those principles that were established, I think it may be difficult to attract a private contractor who would be satisfied with the profitability of what they can get out of the campground with the amount of revenue that we require. Additionally, with the short notice we've been given, it would be difficult to get through that process and get into a transition ready to start the operation November 1st. Option number four, the township could choose to cease the campground operation. Certainly, the campground has been part of the Lakeville community for many decades. It's provided significant economic benefit to the local businesses, recreational opportunities for residents and visitors alike. And of course, as we've already discussed, significant annual revenues to support the township's operations and generate reserve for future capital needs. The decision made by council in 2021 was made after a significant consultation process. It recognized the benefits the campground provided and also made a number of changes to kind of improve the balance between the campground and the public use of the property. So examples, eliminating the overflow camping, transitioning one area to transient camping, our plans for a vegetative buffer if we ever hear back on our funding application. And of course, we've completed the capital improvements now essentially within the next few weeks. And that infrastructure really doesn't provide much benefit for any type of passive park operation. And of course, if there was no longer to be a campground there, we would have to immediately make up the revenues that would be lost through increased taxation or service level reductions. Option number 5, the township can choose to operate the campground in-house. This is certainly the way the village of Lakefield operated the campground for many years. It was eventually contracted out in 1996 as a result of a decision of the village council of the day to eliminate its parks and recreation staff and services basically completely. It's common for municipalities who own campgrounds, and there are others throughout the province, to operate them in-house. We certainly have chosen that type of operation for the marina. We do operate that in-house. Of course, it would require additional resources, but we'd have control over the operation and would benefit from all of the revenues generated. And certainly there maybe could be some synergies between the campground and the marina as well. So just in terms of next steps, our recommendation would be that council give us direction to proceed with further report for next steps and budget estimates to prepare for in-house operation of the campground. That would be option number 5. And I've provided, I think, throughout the report, the rationale for that approach. It provides for the township control over operations to maximize the success of the operation through various means, some synergies with our marina operations, provides for consistency and continuity of the operations into the future, maximizes the financial benefit to the township. Certainly, there's a marketing opportunity to promote the campground as part of other local attractions that I think would serve us well. So with that, I will leave it and be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, you certainly provided every option available for this particular. I think it's a good asset of the community. Are there any questions or comments that you have for Janice, Deputy Mayor Black?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thanks for the very wholesome report, Janice, with all the different options. Option 5 is from a revenue point of view and financial benefit and need is obviously the one that I think we should support. Just a question for Lane around option 2 with respect to renegotiating anything with Orca. I do believe Orca was a good provider and a good organization to operate the campground. The loan is obviously the biggest impact on the revenue side. What's the terms on the loan? I know it's an internal loan back to the department as far as amortization period. Is there an opportunity to stretch the amortization period that would allow for smaller payments that would open up some revenue that Orca might feel is enough to continue operating the campground? What's the current terms that you've put in place for the loan, internal loan?
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, the contract hasn't been finalized yet. So when I say, well, actually the contract is in place, but the final payments under the contract have not been put in place yet. Based on our original projections when we provided the recommendation to council, we were looking at useful lives and amortization periods of about 30 years. Okay. I wouldn't want to really stretch that too much farther than that. And so based on that and based on where we were coming from so far, we wouldn't be able to really stretch it out to any great extent. I know Mike's had good success with dealing with the contractor, and it's a contractor that Adam's dealt with many times. And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to close the contract out a little bit under budget. So that would be great, but don't really have that information yet to share. I'd be bringing that back to council for final approval.
Yeah. No, thanks for that. I wasn't remembering about the AM period, but clearly 30 is plenty of years. I just wondered if it was 10, that might be an opportunity to stretch it out and free up some revenue to maybe satisfy Orca, but clearly that's not the case. So obviously option 5, I think, is a reasonable approach.
Are there any other comments? Councillor Clueless.
Through you. I hate to ask it this way, but when do you think the turnaround for this next report would be if we go forward with option 5? Just because it seems like this is a very quick turnaround that we're dealing with, and now with the ice storm, I know it's a lot of pressure on you guys.
Yeah, so I think we'd be aiming to get something back to council in June.
Thank you.
Councillor Boyka.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sanis. Yeah, just a question about the report itself. We're talking about resources necessary to take the campground over ourselves. So we are talking about the necessity of hiring more staff, or is it going to be? I know, and I'm anticipating the report, but are we going to be talking about? Do you believe hiring more full-time staff, more part-time staff, and what exactly do you mean by resources?
Yeah, so we're gonna have to work our way through that. I would say we haven't determined what that staffing complement would look like. So
Yeah.
I can't really specifically give you that because I don't
I
know, right?
understand.
Yeah, we have to work our way through that. Certainly we do know, as part of the operations now, there is a significant component that's going towards staffing. So we know, there's money to work with there. It's just determining what's the best way to resource the operation. It isn't a 6-month operation. We're open maybe for 5 to 6 months, but there's work to do on the front end and the back end in terms of dealing with your rentals, your winter storage, just promoting the campground for seasonal rentals, promoting it for transient rentals. So it really is a year-round operation. So how that fits into our existing complement, we just really need to work our way through that, and would do so in bringing that report back to you.
Very good with a supplement. Because so I'm just again trying to get my head around what this report is going to look like. So it is going to be essentially we are taking over a business. And so this will essentially be the business model that we're going to use to take over this business. Am I right?
Yes, I would say essentially, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you, through Mayor. One of the comments in the report was around rental software. I don't know what the previous provider did. I think it was fairly manual as far as getting rentals on the site. And I know Orca had their own software that they use for rentals. So do we have something within our current IT system that would allow for that, or do we have to go out and get external standalone software to do that?
I think that's something we're going to have to look at how we want to operate it. Maybe something where there'd be some synergies with the marina. We don't have any software like that for the marina right now, but it could be something that would benefit both operations. So again, we just need to evaluate those options.
Yeah, I think, are there any other questions for Janice? Councillor Coles.
Through you, I just want to make a comment. I do see this as an opportunity, because I think it actually extends beyond the marina. I'm wondering with the arenas, if we do pick up some kind of software, I mean, that might be helpful for scheduling. And if we end up going into some kind of programming, that might actually support volunteer organizations with getting time slots. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but I do think there's opportunity here, and I hate to just waste it. I think this plan and looking at another report coming forward, I think is the best step. So I'll leave it there. But I do want us to think beyond just the marina with these synergies, because I do think there's opportunity beyond the marina. Thanks.
And the camper. The camper, yeah. Yeah. All right, so if there aren't any other questions, then I'm looking for someone to move this recommendation. Councillor Henry is moving it, seconded by Councillor Koulis. All in favor? It's unanimous, carried, thank you. We'll move on to the next, which is civic addressing. Janice.
Sorry, thank you again. I'm just trying to get myself organized here. Yes, so civic addressing. So that's your typical green sign that you see at the end of the laneway in the rural areas, or the people have signs on their houses in the more urban areas. So the township is responsible for the assignment of those civic addresses and have been for a number of years, ever since the 911 system came into being. Certainly accurate and visible numbering of civic address signs is very essential for the provision of emergency services, and as well for Amazon and UPS and all those other folks who use it. We've been, as I mentioned, we've had the processes in place for a number of years around the assignment and installation of the numbers. But we never have had a bylaw put into place that speaks to that system and regulating the maintenance of the signs. The county of Peterborough is responsible for the maintenance of the civic addressing database as part of its GIS system, and they provide the GIS data to the public safety answering points and to Bell Canada. Currently, there's a process underway to change the current system of 911 to what's called next generation 911. So it's very technical in nature, but requires the county at this point to review all of the data that they have to confirm it and make sure it's accurate. Through that process, a number of issues have been identified throughout the county and so on as well. And we're working through those issues with the county right now. A lot of the issues deal with signage that isn't visible, whether it's blocked by vegetation, whether it's been damaged, whether it blends into somebody's house front instead of being contrasting with house front. So a number of things like that have been identified. So really, the purpose of the bylaw is to note our responsibility on assigning the civic address numbers. It requires every occupied lot to have and maintain a visible civic address. So that puts the onus on the property owner to make sure their sign remains visible. Requires temporary signage for properties that are under construction. It permits civic addresses to be displayed on structures in urban areas, provided they are visible to emergency services. So again, a contrasting color, illumination. Provides for the property owners to be responsible for the cost of the sign post and installation. That is actually new. Currently, the first sign is put up at the township cost, and any replacement sign is at the cost of the property owner. And then again, the property owner is responsible to ensure the sign remains visible. And it provides for the issuance of our inspection fees where we're having issues with compliance. So I didn't note it in the report, but as a part of the work with the county, we've definitely talked about, and I think what it's going to be called is a Love Your Number campaign. So it will really push out that message to people that it's your responsibility to make sure your civic address is visible, whether it's on your house, whether it's at the end of your laneway. That's going to get the fire department there if they need to, EMS, Amazon. So it's very important. So it's just kind of that messaging out to people that it's their responsibility, reminding them how important it is. So I think with this bylaw, with that work going on at the county and across the county and us supporting that, I think it will be a good kind of melding of this bylaw and that effort to make sure that people are aware.
All right, are there any questions? Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you, through Mayor Sines. Thanks for the report. With respect to new lots that are being created, does the township, are they still responsible for the first sign for new lots?
No, so the address is assigned at the time that somebody is getting a building permit. So that's when the address is assigned, and then typically there's a temporary sign while they're under construction, so the green sign doesn't get damaged. And then when the sign is actually installed, the property owner would pay for it. Under this bylaw, the first sign would be the responsibility of the property owner.
Okay, so new lots, they're still responsible.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Councillor Cool's.
Through you. Where are the green signs typically located? Are they in the road allowance or on the property? Because like a house number is obviously on the property, but like the green sign, is there a consistent location that it's supposed to be located?
Yeah, for sure there is. And I don't know, maybe Adam can speak to that a little bit better, but it's typically at the close to the end of the driveway. It would be within the road allowance. And it's set at a certain height and distance back from the laneway, I think, to make sure that it's visible from both directions.
Follow up. I just want to make sure we didn't have to like ask to go onto property or something.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, are there any other questions? So just for clarification, if it's on a lot where you're having the green sign, like rurally, that's paid for by, it's going to be paid for by the owner when they get installed, if there isn't one there, or if one gets lost or stolen or damaged. What about the signs on a house, like in a subdivision where, they're given the number, or are we charging them to put their number up?
No, they just put their own number up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they decide the style, what it looks like. There are some provisions. It has to be in numbers. It can't be in words. It needs to be a certain size. It needs
Can't
to
be
be
in
of contrasting color. No, like you can't have 23 written out. It would have to be 23. Yeah.
There are some people who have that though.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So,
was it grandfather?
well, it's going to be, yeah, we don't typically go back.
Okay.
But we would again, as part of our Love Your Number campaign, outline all of those principles so people could really understand why it's important that the numbers are as visible as possible for whatever purpose they need somebody to find them.
I understand that, but individuality sometimes,
Yes, moving forward though,
Just a
it does require that it would be numbers, not writing.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a recommendation before us. Can I have someone move that, please? Counselor Koulis, seconded by Counselor Boyko, all in favor. It's carried, thank you. And we will now move on to pair with the zoning. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to have Robert roll me off here.
Good afternoon, Mayor Senes and Council. The report from the planner this afternoon is regarding a property on concession, part lot 22, concession 6, that council earlier this year passed a zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 2024-56, which rezoned the property to rural residential exception 612 in order for the property owners to operate a custom car shop on their location. Along with that rezoning, holding provision was put on the property, requiring that the property owners go through site plan control in order to proceed with their business operation. They have now executed agreement and there's a registered site plan control registered on their property. And so the report before you today is for the removal of the holding provision.
Right? Are there any questions of Robert? Seeing none, I need someone to make a recommendation. Counselor Henry, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black, all in favor. That is carried. Thank you. Anybody want anything pulled from the consent items? Seeing none, I need someone to move the consent items, please. Counselor Koulis, did you have your hand up? Oh, Counselor Boyko is moving it. Counselor Koulis is seconding, all in favor. It's carried, thank you. Under other new and unfinished business, before we go to Counselor Henry's motion, Madam Clerk, you have an item. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, I will have an item under new business. It is a time sensitive matter that I need to bring forward. A good thing though. In the correspondence report, you will have seen some correspondence about nominations for Senior of the Year award. So we had circulated that to our community groups, and we actually have 3 nominations for council to consider. We weren't sure if we'd get any, so we didn't have anything on the agenda. But because we have 3 of them, we will need to go into closed session because we're dealing with identifiable individuals. I can give you a little bit of a description of the nominations, and then council, when they come out of closed session, will need to select somebody that we want to nominate for the Senior of the Year award.
Thank you very much. All right, so we'll go into closed after we're done with a majority of the bylaws here. First of all, we'll go to Councillor Henry with your notice of motion. Oh, notice of motion to deal with what? That's what I just said.
No, she's just bringing.
I'm bringing it forward. I just said Councillor Henry has a notice of motion. Councillor Henry. No, no.
Reclaiming my time through you, Mayor Sanas.
Councillor Henry heard me.
It's about me right now. I'd like to bring forward a notice of motion that staff prepare a report in the fourth quarter that's going to highlight all the expenses incurred by all the departments as a result of the March 30th, 2025 ice storm. And further, that the report include any recommendations that departments have to manage future incidents.
All right, so he's put forward this motion. We need someone to second it, to put it on the floor to have discussion, seconded by Councillor Boyko. Councillor Henry, do you want to speak to it any further?
Just going into the following year with budgeting concerns, this is the second major storm that's hit our area in less than 3 years. I think our residents need to know what the impacts of these climatic situations are and the financial impacts that it has on us. And what we can do to be more resourceful in preparing for them down the road, whether it be budgetary or equipment needs or social supports for staff or our residents.
Eight. Is there anyone that would like to speak to it? Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you, through your mayor. No, I support the motion for sure. I noticed in the staff reports that we're going to use the incident as our emergency management incident for the year. So that's good news. I agree. Again, the follow-up from that, I think, would be an important next step, whether it's report to council on the findings. But I think certainly this is a great example. And as Councillor Henry is saying, it's happening more often. So I think the debriefing and opportunity to look at future budget considerations is an important thing to consider.
Any other comments? Councillor Boyko.
No, I welcome this as well, and I obviously am going to support it because I seconded it. But among the recommendations, I hope there's a clear communication plan, because I think that as hard as we tried to communicate, and staff did a really good job trying to communicate with all the challenges, a communication plan must be a part of this plan. Yeah, funding for it.
Councillor Koulis first and then Councillor Henry.
Thank you, through you. Yeah, I just want to comment, like, we had a long laundry list last week and I just want to make sure they're not lost. There's so many items there. I don't think they are. I think they're wiggled in there in the back of our minds, but I just want to make sure that we're not losing anything. So, and then a follow-up question. Again, I'm sorry to ask this, but when do you think that report is going to come through? If we're looking at fourth quarter, this is going to come through. It says in the fourth, it says a report in quarter 4 highlighting the expenses, but realistically, to capture everything, would we not wait until like January, February around the budgeting cycle too?
Yeah, so through you, we did want to note that it would be later in the year because we do expect some of the brushing that we were hopeful to do on the roadside. Some of that may end up getting delayed into the fall. So if I guess we feel that we still don't have everything done, we may want to just provide a report through the quarterly report, and we might suggest it come forward even in the first quarter of 2026.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Henry.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Sanas. My laundry list, yes, it was rather lengthy. I think that it's in our best interest to start off simple here and see what the cost breakdown is and see if there's areas that are of concern, and then address if we choose to move forward there. So in its base format, it is generalized, which can bring forward questions or further motions. At this time, I would welcome a friendly amendment if you choose, Councillor Boyko, to add on your suggestions that you just made.
Do you remember what those were?
Yeah, my suggestion is that included in the recommendations is a communication plan.
Okay.
Is that a friendly?
That
Okay.
amendment.
Offer that as a
So,
friendly amendment.
Yeah, and you're
And-
happy with that? You're the mover, okay? Yeah, before we vote on it, I don't know if you saw in the media that social media that Premier Ford and Minister Dunlop came to our county and sat down with us, and they had a look firsthand at some of the damage that we were trying to deal with. And in that meeting, he said that he was going to help the county. And I specifically asked whether that included each township to be helped financially with the costs. He said yes. The next day, I contacted Dave Smith's office to ask him to give us the details, and I'm still waiting. So just so you know, we asked, they said yes, but we're, don't hold your breath. Anyway, hopefully we will, he will come through to help us financially, because there is a cost to all this. And the way that it's set up is in order to apply for the MDRF, I think it's called, or Municipal Disaster Relief Fund. Yeah. Yeah, so, but the way it's set up is almost impossible to be able to recoup money, because it's set at such a high level that we would never reach that level. Like it's I think 3% of.
Yeah, it's 300% of your tax for own purposes. And then the other side of that is there's only certain things that are eligible, right? So our activities of our own staff typically aren't included as an eligible expense. So they kind of get you coming and going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, thanks for those, that update. I believe they asked the Director of Public Works what the province could do, and they asked for a couple of chippers.
They
Is what
have, the chippers have come.
So the province has provided a couple of new chippers for
Yes,
them.
no.
Or not new, but
They're not new. What they've done is allowed, I'm not sure if they're from Newmarket or they're from another area, crew that are coming with a couple of chippers to help to clear brush and debris. And they're working on county properties right now, and the townships were asked if there were any specific areas where there was it would be needed by this outside group, but they are arriving, I think, this week, and will be here for a week. So, yeah. So we did come through with that particular thing, but I was looking for money, and he said yes, and we still don't know if we're going to get it. So,
show me the money.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anyway, let's vote on this motion. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And now, let's, before we go into closed, Madam Clerk, if you can read the bylaws.
Okay, there's several.
Yep.
21 zoning bylaw amendment for the sixth line to remove the holding provision. 22 zoning bylaw amendment for the Triple T development in the Lakefield South area. 23 the civic addressing bylaw. 24 to authorize RTO 8 funding to replace the community kiosks. 25 to authorize a mitigation measures agreement. 26 actually 26 to 33 are all the amendments to the development charges bylaws relating to various services.
Right. So I need someone to move those bylaws for us, please. Councillor Koulis, seconded by Councillor Henry. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And now I need a motion to go into closed. Councillor Henry, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We will be going into closed. Yeah, okay. Thank you. And my stupid computer timed out. I swear the IT guy